These are my audience members. These are my note cards. We all know of, or should at least know of, the historical Prime Minister Winston Churchill and how he achieved what he achieved throughout his years of existence. So I'm going to talk to you about him today. Winston Churchill went off to war as a correspondent, then grew into a combatant. He actually escaped a prison camp in South Africa, which gained him his fame. As a child growing up, Churchill entered a formal school and proved to be an independent and rebellious student. He did poorly at his first two schools, which were public, in April 1888 he was sent to Harrow School, which was a boarding school. Within the first few weeks of joining the school, he joined Rifle Corps, which he liked. I'm going to inform you about Winston Churchill's military service, his political career in World War II, and his first run at Prime Minister. First off, let's take a look at Winston Churchill's military service. I mentioned before, Winston Churchill did not have success in either of his two formal schools, so he was sent to Harrow Boarding School, where he joined the Rifle Corps again. After leaving Harrow in 1893, he applied to attend the Royal Military College, Sandhurst, Jenkins R. 2002. Winston chose to stay with the cavalry and was commissioned as a second lieutenant on February 20, 1895. Lieutenant Churchill, 4th Queens. After resigning from the government in 1915, Churchill rejoined the British Army, attempting to obtain an appointment as brigade commander. After spending some time as a major, he was then appointed to lieutenant colonel, Jenkins R. 2002. Winston Churchill started out young with intentions of being in the military as his father and grandfather were, so he was following in their footsteps. As a result of his military career, it leads to his political career in World War II. Churchill ran again for a seat in 1900's general election. After winning the seat, he went on a speaking tour throughout Britain and the United States, the London Gazette 1900. In Parliament, Churchill became associated with the Conservative Party, led by Lord Hugh Cecil. During his first session, Churchill opposed the government's military expenditure and Joseph Chamberlain's proposal of extended tariffs, which were set to show and protect the British economy and dominance. Jenkins R. 2002. Churchill assisted in passing the People's Budget, becoming president of the Budget League, an organization that was set up in response to the opposition Budget League protest. The budget included the introduction of the new taxes on the wealthy to allow for the creation of a social welfare program. The budget was finally passed in 1911 after the first and second election. It became known as the Parliament Act of 1911, which Churchill also campaigned. Churchill became Under-Secretary of State for the colonies, dealing with South Africa after the war mainly. His primary focus was settling the Transvaal Constitution, essentially providing South Africa with stability. Churchill applied as much of his knowledge as he could to pass a bill or act, always ran for a seat that was open. I'm going to show you a picture of Winston Churchill in World War I. This is what he looked like. And in addition, we have looked at his military lifestyle, his political career, and his attempt at prime minister. On September 3rd, 1939, the day Britain declared war on Germany, following the outbreak of World War II, Churchill was appointed First Lord of the Admiralty, the same position he held during World War I. He proved to be one of the highest profile ministers during the Phony Wars, what they called it, when the only attack that was noticeable was at sea when the USSR attacked Finland. Churchill was still unpopular among conservatives in the establishment. The former prime minister remained in power until he passed. When word got out that Churchill was taking over, the House of Lords was completely silent. Blake Robert, 1993. In 1941, Churchill was 65 and he finally became prime minister. For him, Parliament was an instrument of public persuasion on which he played like a master, from which he drew strength and comfort. Knickerbocker, H.R. 1941. Winston had a go at being prime minister, which honestly nobody really wanted to see. He had 2 terms of being prime minister throughout his life. And lastly, one man can do a million great things in his lifetime. Now that we have taken a look at Winston Churchill's military service, his political career during World War II, and his run as prime minister, having independency and being rebellious isn't always a bad thing if you have good intentions. I hope you all have learned a little bit more about the story of Winston Churchill's beginning, middle, and end. One great person can do so much, both to help and to hinder. Sometimes, but they can always come out on top. This is not the beginning. This is not the end, but it is the beginning of the end. But it is perhaps the end of the beginning. Churchill Center, 2009. These are my audience members again.